is Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm Angela Yee, and it is a Wealth Wednesday. So, of course, my partner, Stacey Tisdale, is here.
Happy Wealth Wednesdays, everybody. We got a great one for you today.
For all of you parents of athletes, for all the athletes out there, this is going to be one you don't want to miss. We have Crystal McCrary here with us.
Crystal is a superwoman, I believe. I heard her son described. She's a film producer, director, New York Times best-selling author, among many other things, former attorney, and
a mom
of 3 children who played basketball. One of them is my favorite player, Cole Anthony of the Orlando Magic, who is wonderful. And Crystal and Cole did something amazing called GameUp. And for all of those parents out there who are supporting kids who are doing sports, and I believe over 70% of American children play sports, this is something you're not going to want to miss.
All right. Well, Crystal, let's throw it to you.
Hello.
We're done. That's it.
That intro, I was like, just keep it coming. I will take all those accolades. No, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you for giving me a platform to talk about GameUp, which I founded with my son, Cole, because I had been that basketball mom that the parents would come to and say, can you make a recommendation for a team? Can you make a recommendation for a developmental program or for a trainer? And I just was doing this for over a decade. And I said, how about I aggregate this information and turn it into an app so it can be one-stop shopping for families to come to? It's like the Amazon of youth sports.
So people are vetted out in order to be on this app so let's talk about the services that it provides. And is it only for basketball?
Great question. So right now, with the launch of the MVP, the minimum viable product, that's my tech talk. I learned that as I got into this business.
From your daughter, right? No.
Yeah, my daughter. So I am learning that we're starting with basketball. It's going to be in the tri-state area, but we will expand across the U.S. and we will get into other sports. Okay. But I decided I would start niche because this was the sport that I knew about.
Right.
And you mentioned, are they vetted out? So here's how it works. The teams and the developmental programs and the trainers that we have on the app are players, former players. They are programs that everyone within our youth basketball ecosystem has either played for or we know them personally. In terms of the teams and the programs that we recommend, we know that they are credible programs.
Okay.
In terms of the trainers that families can make appointments for their kids to train with on the app, we have, of course, vetted them out. We've done the criminal background checks and all that stuff. But we also know that they're we also know that they are good trainers for a wide range of levels. Because this isn't like some people have been like, is this just for elite athletes? The players that are going to go play D1 college ball or go to the league? Absolutely not. This app is for all levels of players, from age of never picked up a ball, 3-4 years old, up through 17.
Okay.
It has platforms and programs on here that you can find a program called, like Dribble or Grow Our Game, which is a great girls program that is run out of Riverside Church, run by a sister who, played basketball and teaches this class to young girls, and everything in between.
I love this.
Programs where, a program like PSA Cardinals that Cole played for, that every single player that has gone through that. You might be familiar with this, Stacey, with, playing on that circuit.
Stacey's son plays basketball at Syracuse,
by
the way. Just to put that out there. So this is near and dear to her heart.
Very proud. And
Full
I know her
disclosure.
son, very talented and handsome, brilliant young man, I might add. And yes, it's for every level.
Right.
And that's where we really want it to be inclusive. So some people are like, well, how does it actually work?
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to ask me that.
To really dig in here, I mean, you are addressing such a huge need. Having a child who plays sports, as a parent, I felt like I was always failing. The world is just so big. You don't know which team, which opportunity, which coach, which consultant to work with. Christopher and I were actually out of the country for 6 months during COVID. And when we came back in the fall of 2020, I assumed nobody was playing basketball, and that was he was going to go into his junior year, so that was that critical moment, if he was going to play in college or not. But sure enough, there was this underground circuit of kids still playing basketball, and I remember just feeling completely lost. I'm like, where do I go? Where do I begin? to help find him the support he needed, because this is your kid's dream here.
Absolutely.
And you're their dream weaver. So I really want you to talk about that. I know we've talked about it, that parents are just so lost, so you end up throwing money at everything.
And Crystal, for you personally, right, to have a son that plays in the NBA, which is, one in a million that will make it there. But how did you manage to make sure that Cole was finding the right trainers and the right programs?
Sure. It was a lot of trial and error. And one thing that I would say is unique about a kid like Cole, who did make it to the NBA, which, was his dream, and he didn't have a plan B. So thank goodness it worked out. But Cole was one of those kids that growing up, he was a New York City kid, a Manhattan kid. He played for every level of basketball program where most of those kids weren't even D1 players. I mean, he played for teams where there weren't very athletic kids, and he wasn't that athletic when he began. He just was super aggressive and had kind of that, mentality of a winning mentality. But he went through every level of program up through he went through the different high schools, he went through the different travel teams, the different AAU teams, each one. It's sort of like a pyramid, right? And there is this attrition that occurs. And we kissed a lot of frogs.
And the time, it takes over your whole life.
It takes over your whole life, and it's incredibly expensive, which is another thing that has happened with youth basketball.
Right.
It's gotten younger and younger. The costs have increased from needing extra training, from your team dues, from your uniform cost, to your plane, train, automobile, hotel, food on the road. And that's another thing. Consultants.
They are thousands and thousands of dollars, and you're told, you really have to work with this guy to get into this program. And there's this whole industry of people that are just preying on your emotions.
And your finances.
Oh, my God.
Right. Can we talk about that? What is it? Parents in this country spend up to $40 billion a year on youth sports for
a lot of them get a second job.
20% of parents say that they've had to take out a second job or work overtime for their kids.
No, you're right.
And
You've seen it.
Yeah, and the time, I remember they were both Riverside Hawks. And you'd have this, Monday game in Pennsylvania, Wednesday game in Albany, Saturday game in Boston. And post-COVID, you also had to go with your child to all those basketball camps and stuff. So it was, hotels and everything. Just the costs are exorbitant.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's incredibly expensive, not just with your money, but with your time. But I guess, your time is money. And so one of the things that Cole and I have actually done with GameUp is we have actually started the 50 Ways, which is Cole's foundation, the 50 Ways Foundation GameUp Scholarship. And that is actually to give parents who have an economic barrier to having their kids join these teams or get into these developmental programs. The parents that have a financial need, we are taking care of their family's expenses.
Oh, that's
for
amazing.
These teams.
That's great.
And that's 50waysfoundation.org.
50 Ways Foundation, exactly. And you can go there. We have funders for that. We already have that set up, but we are trying to make sure that there is not an economic barrier for families to have their kids play on these teams. But and a lot of back to the parents who have their kids doing it from such a young age, and why parents invest so much money in it. I can't tell you on this AAU circuit how many parents have come to me and have said, we're doing this work because I'm doing this so my daughter has free college.
Right.
That's exactly why.
How often do you hear that?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And when you think about how much a college education costs, if you don't have scholarships, it's $250,000 for 4 years.
Yeah.
Right, you're looking at $250,000
and
minimum.
for that,
minimum.
Yeah, I had to work and pay for college. It took me 15 years to pay off my student loans.
Loans. Right, and don't even talk about the interest rates on the loans.
Right.
But in any event, we really just want to demystify the youth basketball landscape for parents. And so a lot of people say, how does GameUp work? So you go to sign up for it, you go to www.gameup.fyi. We started it as a web app because it's query-based.
Okay.
We will roll into an app on the App Store, but right now it's a web app. But you go to it, you put in your kids, and this is starting in the tri-state area, but you put in your kids, or, the kids will go themselves, their age, their gender, where you live, and bloop, you get the recommendations of the teams. These are matches that we found for you. And I was thinking about it because you mentioned Riverside Hawks. I have a 10-year-old who plays basketball, and he plays the Riverside Hawks. But they just had tryouts this weekend, and it must have been just for 5th grade. 100 kids that were in there trying out for like 12 roster spots. Yes. And you're watching this, and my heart's going out to those kids and those parents because they're putting everything that they have into it. And 90% of them are not going to make the team. Right.
But there's other opportunities.
That brings up a really interesting point. Now we have NIL, which is name, image, likeness, which means that's a legislation that passed that you can make money as a student athlete. Has that, I've felt it. You see me telling Christopher, you build your following, you can make money now, you can't get a job.
You better haven't you done a PowerPoint deck for him on his brand yet, Stacey?
Like, you can't work because you're an athlete. That means you're telling me to pay everything for them. I'm not. Do this.
Yeah, well, he should be able to get some money from that as a major college basketball player at a place like Syracuse. All the players should be able to take advantage of that. You guys can coach him on
branding. I was going to ask.
Which is thank goodness. Yeah. All right, because we've seen too many situations where everybody else is making money off of your name, image, and likeness, but you.
They made so much money.
And that was deeply problematic.
Yeah.
And hold on, and rewind that for a second to that end. But this was happening in predominantly black sports. This was happening in basketball and football, where they could not go pro until they went through the NCAA system, right? Or they had a year away from college and played someplace else, but not be able to enter as a pro, right, in the NFL, the NBA. But tennis, golf, gymnastics, those talented young athletes could go pro as soon as their talent would allow for it and could make money.
True.
12, 13, 14 years old.
Yep.
So what's up with that? And you look at all these universities that were making millions and millions of dollars off the backs of these athletes.
Media companies.
Right. The licensing deals, the TV deals, the basketball, football-related income globally from merchandising. They were making tons of money off of these young athletes. So I'm happy that athletes that are playing their tails off, that unfortunately injuries can make careers short, that make your money when you can make your money.
And that, even increases the need for your app, because with that out there, like Angela was saying, parents, it's even more intense now. The whole youth sports thing.
Is that something that GameUp can also maybe assist with as far as opportunities for deals with brands?
Well, thank you for asking that, Angela. What I will say is GameUp, as we grow and continue to scale, it is going to be the youth sports destination for all elements of youth sports. And it will include opportunities for name, image, likeness. One of the things that increases an athlete's chance of getting noticed is, we've all seen it, the 6-year-old with the mixtape now. So we have, when you think about this youth basketball sort of, I hate to call it the industrial complex, but it is such big business right now. What we're having on the app as we continue to grow is we will have video designers, graphic designers, brand designers, all cater to youth athletes. The videographer who can make your mixtape, the physical therapist, the skills trainer, specialist, all of these recommendations. Remember, I'm probably older than you all, but Angie's List was a thing. This is going to be...
No, Angie's List is still a thing. It's still out there. It's still out there. Okay. No, I like that.
Yeah.
And so then can they also rate some of the different programs and trainers and things like that, so that people can see kind of like Angie's List or a Yelp might give a review. So that also helps people accountable for the work that they're doing.
Absolutely right. We will have a community board of comments and rating systems, keep folks honest and keep things transparent.
Okay. I like it.
I love it. We were just having a conversation about AI. Crystal's a tech observer
friend who's having the event tonight. Yeah, because there's actually an artificial intelligence component actually on the app as well.
I love that. And you use black female engineers and everything. Talk about the building of the app and the AI and the tech in it.
Yeah. So the creator of the app, the actual coder, computer software engineer is a a young man, but who is like a mentee of mine, who's like this computer genius who created Cloud Space for Amazon.
Sheesh.
I mean, it's really
okay, we like it.
Yes, but my UX UI chief designer, graphic designer, is a woman of color, and so we keep it in the family, and that's something that's also really important here. But we have an AI component, and the AI for GameUp, their name is Terry, and so Terry will be able to connect with Alexa and Siri, but Terry also will be able to give real language information for these queries that parents have. So if they don't want to do like the filter, the way the app is set up, where you just go in and put in age, gender, location, you can actually just go in and have a real language conversation with Terry and say, oh, I'm looking for a travel team for my kid, but they've never really played on a competitive team, and like they can actually have a conversation with Terry that has within the database all of the aggregated teams, programs, et cetera, in there, and then that AI will continue to grow as we continue to get more users.
I mean, that's great. I know somebody who actually runs an AAU team, and he was telling me one of the issues that he does have sometimes is the parents aren't as involved as they could be sometimes because they have jobs.
Exactly.
And they can't even take off from work to be able to come to the games and be supportive in that way. And if they have to travel, sometimes you don't want to take other people's kids, on the road when the parents can't manage to find the time to be able to do certain things. And, even going to have to pick the kids up to bring them to practice sometimes is an issue because it does mean that you have to go maybe a little bit out of your way to be able to do that. And that's been an issue, I know, for him. He might have some great players, but he doesn't have the support and help that they need. And as a coach for him, having to pay for kids to Uber places, that can also be a lot too.
That gets, the Ubering or lifting or whatever with it, that gets to be a really big issue. And you're right. I mean, you're fortunate if you have a coach and a team where you can actually trust that coach or to do it. I mean, which, that's actually my situation. I mean, I'm capable of Ubering, but I have a 10-year-old. I can't have him take an Uber.
Right.
And oftentimes I'm working, my husband's working, so we have a coach that we actually trust that can do that.
Means everything.
That means everything. They oftentimes become a part of your family, but it becomes more complicated and convoluted as they get older. And also with these teams, as as the kids get to 13, 14, 15, 16, they might be playing call it for a New York City team, but you have kids coming from Massachusetts to play for a New York City team because it's about, the best talent, which going back to NIL, that will help create economic opportunities for these young, very talented players.
Because imagine you have to get a hotel, you have to get transportation to go somewhere. Like, who's paying for all of that?
We pitched in because there was like 4 kids on that team, exactly what you were talking about. Having that parent advocate in this crazy world, you have to.
Right.
And there was like 4 kids on that team whose parents just couldn't be there.
Right.
So I had like 4 kids that I take.
You were team mom. I was team mom too. Yeah.
Now, Crystal, as a mom, also I read that your daughter also really participated in helping you find the people to create this app.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter's a little rock star, so she's another person. She played basketball all throughout high school, won a state championship, was co-player of the year in New York State in 2020. Now she's school started. She's a junior at Harvard, and she no longer plays basketball, but she's deeply involved she's like, helps me with everything I do, actually. I mean, I lean on Ella heavily. I'm like, you're like my little genius child. So I lean on her, and so she has actually helped me. One of the young women of color who actually did the initial designs is a classmate of hers at Harvard, and she connected me with her. I mean, she helped me helped me. But here's the thing, as a woman who now gets AARP magazine, which really got me angry because I didn't even order it. I was like, it's coming. I did not appreciate that. Like, how dare AARP send me a
They send them to people in their 30s. They do.
They do.
They send it to all. They send it to all ages.
Oh, are they? Okay, I like that. Oh, they're skewing younger. Right. Because we got so many multi-hyphenate folks. You can actually retire in your 30s and start your second, third, fourth hustle. I like that. I'll take that. But I think it's very important to stay current. And Ella, my daughter, absolutely helps me stay current. All my kids help me stay current. They kind of help me with my style too sometimes. I'm like, no, those shoes don't work.
I feel like you got it.
They do. They do help me. They'll be like, I'm learning the terminology. They're like, if they like it, it's like, Mom, you bodied that. Bodied.
Krista, I gotta ask you, where do you think that your being a multi-hyphenate comes from? Because you are a New York Times bestselling author. You have produced movies. You have these children that you've been doing such a great job with. You're an attorney. All of these different things. How did that start for you?
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I was an entertainment lawyer, as you mentioned, but I never wanted to be a lawyer, right? I really didn't. I went to law school because my parents were like, you need to get a job where you can have some health insurance. And they also want me to be interested in what I did. But I didn't have anybody growing up in my community that was in a creative profession, right? I had, they say in order to be it, you got to see it. So I didn't have that. I had a lot of lawyers in my family. And so when I graduated from law school, started practicing entertainment law, I desperately wanted to really be doing something creative. I wanted to be writing. And so it was agonizing, really. I mean, I was representing playwrights and authors and actors and all this stuff. And I was like, I want to do that. And so, but that was my opportunity to see that one could have, like, what is the roadmap to have a creative career? And so I left my law firm in 1996 and started working on my first novel, which I co-wrote with Rita Ewing, Home Court Advantage. And from there, I mean, I was like, I was off to the races at that point. And then did another book, Gotham Diaries, with Tanya Lewis-Lee, which she and I are actually
amazing.
Making into a scripted series. We're working on that right now for
Netflix.
And then I did Little Ballers,
which is the best.
That I directed.
Everybody should see Little Ballers. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that was.
It's on brand. It's on brand. So and that has to do with your son playing in AAU.
Yeah, and yes, it
classic line in the movie. You think I iron? That's my favorite line in the movie.
Oh, right.
Coach,
no, it's funny.
Coach Billy.
Coach Billy came up to me as like in the scene, and I directed it, but I was also in some of it. And he came up before like an important like championship game, and he was like, "Sis," and he holds up these pants. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "These are wrinkled." And I was like, "You think I iron?"
It was so funny.
Oh man!
But anyway, and then other things as well. I mean, I have a number of projects. I'm doing a documentary right now on Allison Felix. I'm doing a docu-series with Time Studios called Tunnel to Runway: The History of Fashion in the NBA.
Oh my gosh, I love that! I have this book.
You had Mitchell's book.
We love Mitch Jackson is in the doc.
I just came up here.
We just went to the talk they had last week.
The book is incredible.
And that book is amazing. Great pictures, stories behind the pictures, so you can see how much fashion and the NBA and hip hop, by the way,
exactly.
The anniversary of hip hop is all related to each other.
He's Mitch Jackson. He's such an incredible
writer. Shout out to you, Mitch.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
That's
Mitchell Jackson. No, Pulitzer Prize winning.
Oh yeah, we can never forget that.
Don't forget that. If I get a Pulitzer Prize,
you'll never hear the end of it.
No,
right.
Wear a t-shirt.
So I'm happy, like the proximity. You know.
So right now, if people want to go on the app right now for GameUp, it's available in the tri-state area.
Yes.
So the services are up and running now. They can get started. Okay, I know you guys are expanding, but that right now we can get right into it.
Oh, absolutely. If you are in the tri-state area and some Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, you can go to the app right now, in New Jersey as well. Go to the app, put in GameUp.FYI, kids, age, gender, where you live, and it'll come back with the matches or not necessarily matches, but recommendations, right? Of every level. We'll organize it by map, we'll organize it by skill level, and then we also have a concierge service where for those parents, the helicopter parents who want to take a deeper dive, if they were like, well, you've made these recommendations, GameUp, but I want to talk to somebody, which is really how this idea came about, because I was talking to parents.
To everybody, right?
And parents, as we know, us parents, nothing more in the world we like to talk about than our kids.
Yes.
And so the concierge will offer, this free concierge for the first appointment that will kind of do a deeper dive walking families through what this landscape is and what your objectives are, and is this a program? It may have come back as a potential match for your kid, but they want more information. They're like, is this a team where my kid's going to play, or are they going to be the 13th girl on the bench and not ever play? Is this a reliable team? What kind of tournaments do they do? Really diving into that ecosystem and understanding what they can expect.
And last question, is the app free? Or what does
The
it
app
cost?
is free.
What?
The app is free.
Okay.
Parents,
The app,
free.
yeah, oh yeah. I am well. And let me say, okay, free me on, because that information of getting matched to a team, that's free. Mm-hmm. You can go on there and you can get that. You can register your team. You can sign up to be a trainer. All of that is free. And the first concierge meeting is free
But then
as
after
well.
that,
but after that, if you want, to like build this sort of basketball consultant relationship, that part there is a fee once you've gotten beyond that first session. But we want to create a community.
Right. That's great. I wonder if agents will be able to use this to find athletes too, because that feels like the next progression also, to be able to list some of these accolades from some of the athletes.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because we will have an agent list as well up there, and we will be rating the agents, because me knowing a whole lot of NBA basketball moms, WNBA basketball moms and dads, they have a lot to say about the agents that are out there and the services that they offer. So that will be a list and a comment board as well.
Why didn't you do this like 3 years ago? I'm serious. Just one final question. You did this with Cole.
Yes.
Talk about his perspective in it, and what was it like working with your son?
Well, it's so nice because he's finally at that age where he listens to me. He's gone, because this first couple years in the NBA, I can't curse on here, can I?
Go ahead, we'll bleep you out.
But he used to say, he's like, Mom, don't tell me that I'm a grown ass man. That was his favorite thing to say. I mean, he finally is at the point where he like sees the vision. He sees the need. He sees that this is filling a niche. And he gets asked as well.
Right.
Like, what team should my kid get in? What, program? And so this is something that we were able to combine our passion for the game of basketball and put it together in a business.
I love it. And that's also a nice talking point when he's doing his interviews, to be able to, promote as well. But it is something that is a great service that is right on brand for both of you, really.
Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate you all, taking some time and letting me talk about GameUp and the multi-hyphenates. I'm so inspired by both of you ladies.
But Detroit is near and dear to my heart, and you from the D. So
from the D.
I'm very happy to have you up here as well. All right. Well, Krista McCrary, once again, where can people find this app?
GameUp.fyi. Go and sign up today. It is there. We're looking forward for you coming on the app.
All right.
Excellent. And just from the mom perspective, go Orlando and go Orange. Oh, got to get that in there.
All right, it's way up.